curriculums. They're busy figuring out how to teach a group of 30 at any given fucking time. And they're getting paid for that too. I know this. I taught there for a semester. I know what goes on behind those walls, not just as a student, but as a faculty member. They are busy trying to saying with their mouths, how can I convey these ideas to you? And then as the racial makeup of the school is changing a lot, they're still not doing that compared to when I was there.
I just was in the department, it was 2.
That's drastic.
Once again, there was just like 3 of us, and we were not in the same grade. Yeah, they weren't able to. I left college. I ended up working with the person I moved up here to work with. And she said like 2 words. And I've never danced the same since then.
And they were the words.
Like close your eyes or some shit like that. Like people were saying reach. It's like I am reaching. She talked about like joints and ligaments and the spaces between them. And she talked about range of motion being an idea, facility being an idea, as opposed to like, you will get your leg this high. I'm like, just like bullshit. My anatomy does not call for that. My legs look high now, but I'm not like that flexible or anything like that, you know? Like really basic shit.
Using what you have to convey the idea that you want to convey. Okay, I'm gonna ask this question, but I really hate this question. But did you see art as a means out of your community?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because I didn't see a lot of arts outside of television in my community. That wasn't church related. I was also not, I distanced myself from the faith around the same time I distanced myself from my father.
And what was that like? Like, why did you say, like, this isn't for me?
It was fixed, it was plastic, it was like this glass, you know, you can't change the structure of this unless you break it.
And so instead of breaking it, it's just like, you know, time to go. I 100% understand that. Does Seattle...
No.
As a black artist, does Seattle give you the things that you need to complete and create the art that you want? Does white Seattle?
I don't know, I'm not worried about them any fucking more. I don't know, like, I'm not asking anybody to give me anything any fucking more. I do not care. I do not know, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Working with organizations, though, is difficult and interesting.
Why is it difficult and interesting?
I feel like I'm back in school. There are like due dates. And something you said to me at my last birthday party was like, I appreciate how you take your time. You're not in a rush to complete an idea. You're constantly in process. That's like stuck with me all year. No one said it to me like that, maybe like one other person who's in this room. And it's not like a fear of it being successful or anything like that. Just, I like life to happen to me. And then that in turn reflects the art that I share with y'all. So like, there are these organizations who are like, do it right now. I'm like, okay, all right. And you're gonna get what it is then, you know, is it done? No, you're gonna get what it is though. So that's what's weird and interesting, yeah.
Do you think organizations are trying to do better, especially centered around equity and inclusion? And if not, what do they still need to work on?
Stop asking artists of color and of like non-abled bodies and of like queer identity to make your space more equitable. That's your job.
And how do they do that?
I don't know, that's their job. Stop asking us to do, like, how are you gonna ask me to present a new work? Further diversify your audience. Try to figure out a scheme to make tickets more available to further diversify your audience. Fundraise, because the fucking grant cycles out here are ridiculous if you're not using certain words. Like what? Why all the labor? Why all the labor? And then that's a whole other thing about like, if the organization is predominantly white, which they are out here, why are you putting all this labor on people of color? That seems like something that's happened before in the past.
And will continue to happen in the future.
Correct.
You know, it's just not going to change. What do you think artists should do if they're wanting to present work? And is self-producing work still an option? Do you need help from other people? Like, what needs to happen?
Self-producing work is still an option, and there are other avenues for that. I know the space on Capitol Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What space is that?
It's called Studio Current. And they have recently shifted their models and programming where like artists that they like love and trust, or artists who are like desperately seeking spaces that aren't trying to charge them $1,000 to rent their space, plus their tech crew, plus their this and that, and then trying to make that money back based on ticket sales. Studio Current has eliminated this. Like, I work at Studio Current. They are providing space for like free and taking a percentage of the door, and keeping their sales from other things. It's not like high tech, it's not like what you dream of until it's not that, but like you still get to present work, it's an intimate space. You can really weed out who you want in this space if that's necessary for you. So I think artists need to like continue to band together and figure out how to work together without feeling like they need help from these organizations. Also, stop thinking that like having a show in one of these big spaces means you're gonna be fucking famous.
I say that all the time. I think with that, you also need to recognize that a space may not be the space for you to produce your work. And it's really also up to artists to do research about, this is my idea, what is the best group of people that will surround my idea? Just because you see this and see that does not mean that those are the best people to work for you. And I think a lot of times artists, we need to hold ourselves accountable in that. And not saying if I go to an SCG and on the boards or Act Theater or some other place, like they're gonna work really great with me because this is what they do. And then they get in and you completely like are not prepared as an artist. We'll talk more about how that's going to change, and when you can talk to all of these organizations. March 2020, they all will be in the building, possibly at King Street Station, hosted by moi. Because I think artists should have access to these people and being able to talk to these folks and figure out what it is that they want to do instead of hopes and dreams of like, this is what I want to work for this person. Here at CD Forum, we produce Black cultural work also. And we do a damn good job at it. So don't count us out. On that note, we're gonna have a 2-song break. 8 to 10 minutes, Mix America. We're gonna come back with some more questions. Bye. That was your break. It was like a 4-song break.
And we love the song.
Exactly. Thank you, Mix America.
Yeah.
Just big shout out to the Sunday dinner crew. In true Danny Terrell fashion, I was not too kind to Mujale this morning. I love you, Mujale. I'll be kind now. But that's my fashion. Like, I just want stuff done the way that I want it done. But Mujale and crew, thank you very much for videotaping. They've been with us from the beginning. Give them a big hand. We're figuring out how to put this stuff online so people could view it. It just takes a minute. So we have several Sunday dinners recorded, and we're trying to figure that out and what that looks like. Michael B. Main is a photographer. Yes. So here at CD Forum, we like to pretty much work with the same folks. And sometimes Danny Terrell isn't that nice to them. So, you know, I can say that publicly. I know who I am. I'm not trying to, like, pretend. But Mix America has joined us this season as a DJ playing music. Last year we had Taylor Hill who did piano. So we try to mix it up also. Our caterer, I don't know the name of the caterer, South African Food Affair, and then our singer was Audra Boo. And big shout out to our staff, Sharon, Nairi Williams, Executive Director, Nina Yarbrough, who you saw at the front desk, does a lot of our finance stuff and other office management things. And who's not here today, the person I work extremely closely with, who gets it all together, Marianne Osborne. She's like at her work, she's an actress. So also, the four of us at CD Forum, we're also working artists. And so everybody that we work with are also working artists. Eve Sanford, who did the decorations, working artists. So we're not asking, you know, if you want to do something at CD Forum, we would prefer that you be an artist. You don't have to be, but it would be nice because, you know, that's just how we roll. You ready for some more questions? LL, are you ready for some more questions?
Oh, hell yeah.
When, if ever, was there a time that you were detached from your blackness? Dang. Didn't expect that reaction.
Wow. If I had pearls, I'd be clenching them.
Right.
Oh, damn.
Wait.
Yeah.
Commercial break for a second. Markeith was sent a lot of these questions, so before folks get a little in their feelings, I'm not asking anything that was not approved by Markeith. I just want to preference that, because I know I go deep with folks, but I don't just do it because I'm just a mean person. I do it because we've had conversation. Back to you.
Like, off and on every 7 years of my life, I would say.
And what does that look like and how does that show up?
7, he's so articulate. That's interesting. He says the whole word like this. So that made me feel a certain way, and then that made me feel othered from others who were othered, you know? So it wasn't even like, I want to be in closer proximity to whiteness. I'm like, what the fuck am I then if I'm like not black like you say I am, and then to have white people being like, oh, you're not black, you're Oreo or whatever. So that was a struggle. And then I guess just leaning into that, like I listened to a lot of punk rock. All the punk rock I listened to my entire life were not by white people, actually. And this is something I realized recently too. I was like, oh, I've been punk rock for fucking ever, but none of them were white. I didn't listen to the stereotypical punk rock things that white people think are punk rock. But then that still being like, yo, that's me detached from blackness in this way, even though I'm listening to Mexican punk rock and black punk rock and stuff.
Blackness is not a monolith. Mask, unmask. This is our season theme. Blackness is not a monolith.
Then I guess it's until I realize that like I am as blackity black as I am. It was a lot of the reflection that I was getting back was like that of non-blackness. So it was like, I guess I'm not being Baptist Christians, not being black, not listening to mainstream rap at the time, not being black, right? It's just, and then realizing that those things don't even matter.
Living in a city that's predominantly white, did that also play into you being attached to blackness?
Yeah. I am on the hunt for safety. And even before moving here, once again, like Southern California in high school, having like metallic blue hair and wearing hemp bracelets and a Bob Marley shirt, freestyling with everybody, white boys would come up to me like, do you know how to crip walk? So then the version of that here is, oh, you're a dancer. Did you go to the Ailey concert, you know? And these aren't black people asking me these questions. You know, like,
do you know how to teach hip hop?
Do you know how to tap dance? Can you sub my African class? Said the white woman.
I already know who it was. That is shade. Just in case you didn't know, that was me being shady.
No, I don't tap dance.
When I first got here, there was a lot of questions about, like, can you teach hip-hop? And I was like, I know nothing about hip-hop dance. Like, actually knew nothing about it. But can you teach it? I can teach modern. Well, we're looking for a hip-hop teacher. I was like, okay, cute. Not me.
Should let me teach her a modern class. Well, we're not looking for that right now. We have enough modern teachers, like, but they all look and teach the same things.
Oh no, I'm looking at you because you know we just had that conversation. Noel Price in the audience, former CD, former artist. How have people let you down?
By not showing up for me in times of distress. Wanting to be close to the fire, but not wanting to get burned, right? Crazy looks real good from far away. It's real attractive. But I'm like asking you to like come and hold my head. And we have social media now. So I'm like on all the outlets asking for and expressing my needs for I don't give a fuck what you look like. And being like, nah. So that's how I've been let down before. But I tend to not let people let me down in other ways other than that. And I think it's become more of an experiment for me. It's like, well, let's see. If I say I'm depressed, who's gonna say something? Right. The same 3 people. 2 of them are in this room.
How has black people let you down, and how have black people lifted you up in your adult life?
I get lifted up by black people every day now, which is beautiful. My family, being so far away from them, but them always, even though they still have an idea exactly what I do, they show support. My black friends lift me up in several ways. My black acquaintances do not. And I don't know what that's about. And I assume a bunch of shit. I assume a bunch of things. Right. I assume people thinking I'm a tourist in some places. I assume people seeing me with a white woman on my arm, assuming that like I'm a traitor to the race. I assume that because I went to art school and not to UW, or that I'm from the West Coast, that I'm not black enough for these black people. I assume that because I'm wearing a dress today, people think that I'm not as femme as I actually am. So like there are these things that happen, and it happens with a lot of black folks that just don't know me. And we're out here in call-out culture saying things like, I haven't been called out in a long time. And I know I'm not perfect. And I know there are people that want to call me out. Do it! Like, what the fuck are you not saying to me, you know? Like, so in that way.
How have white folks and non-POC and non-black POC people let you down?
By not shutting the fuck up. By interfering in things that do not pertain to them. By trying to include themselves in things that do not pertain to them. No one's safe. Like, they're not safe. No one's safe. Like, yeah.
How do you keep yourself safer in those situations?
Wearing my masks.
What mask do you have to put on?
Antisocial pissed offness in certain spaces. So, like, putting out enough energy to be like, don't talk to me. I'm not here to be consumed by you. Sitting in corners of spaces, even though we're all at the same event, being approached by people and looking elsewhere, drinking things no matter what it is, no matter where I'm at. You will see me with a drink in my hand. So if you say something and I'm not really trying to have a conversation.
You're also good at the dip.
It was called Markeithing from 2015 to 2017. Friends just got used to me, like, we could be walking down the street together and I'd slowly pull back from the group and then they'd turn and I'd be elsewhere.
Yes, I've seen it happen. You're so good at that. It's hilarious.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Why don't we say bye to everybody, you know?
You just like, in conversation, you just like, okay, shoot. And it's like, I love it. I need to learn that question. Do you feel more supported, or have you in the past felt more supported by white creative folks?
Will you ask that question again?
Have you in the past felt more, or do you feel more supported now in your career by white creative people?
Yes and no. It's wavy. In school, I was the it choreographer, but I wasn't making works about anything. I was like, bodies in space. What can these ballet bodies do that I can't do? What if I try to teach them how to do this? It's about architecture, blah, 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 blah. Getting the good grades, being held up by all the white teachers there. Having a lot of hardships, with the exception of Cabby, with any teacher of color, really.
Do you think being held up in those spaces is because people put what they think your story is on you? White people.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. But then leaving school and making the things that I made after school, because there were no grades, I noticed things like this have been said by my past professors who will go unnamed, because I know there are some alumni in the room. I know he's capable of making dances like that. I just don't know if he wants to. Or he's not making dances like that anymore. Or I really want to support him, but I don't want to be yelled at by him. Or things like that.
Go back to, I want to support him, but not being yelled at. What do you mean by that statement? Because that's interesting.
I made this thing that was reflective of me being one of few black folks in a situation that was dominated by white folks. And y'all got yelled at. Because I've been frustrated for many years.
Is that the recent thing?
Recent.
On the boards?
Like in 2016 recent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's recent for you.
I mean, that's recent. Everything was recent for me.
That was that, and that was like it was 2 years in the making before that too. And so people kind of got the gist. It's like, oh, this is, this person, whatever, Wade Matson said to my face, you did not teach me anything new about the Black experience. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. We broke up. We broke the fuck up. You can't teach me anything anymore. You are like, no, you weren't listening. If you wrote your scripts like you make dances, this would be better. All these things except for what I was trying to do, which is exactly what he was upholding. Like, he was trying to bring me down by being, so yeah, what else am I supposed to do when I'm like, hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to break your table.
That stung, what you just said from that person, and maybe you said it before and it didn't click.
I never say his name.
Yeah.
Now, never mind.
I mean, they gotta own up to what they said. Like, we have to own up to what we said. Dang, I don't even know where to go from there. I'm like, didn't teach me anything new about the Black experience. It's not my job.
I wasn't trying to teach you anything.
Well, and he needs to be taught some things. What do you do to center your Blackness?
Sit in my room, watch things, read things, make things, talk to Black people.
Why do you laugh?
Marlon and I are both laughing because we know that. I heard him, I was like, yeah, you sit in your room and you, those rare moments that we're all at home together. I forgot I wrote this question. This may be a new question. What has been one of the most upsetting, painful things you've discovered living in the body that you live in?
I've been saying this phrase all year, I'm either too much or not enough.
And I know there's conversations that you and I have been involved in that stem from that phrase. Why do you feel like you're either too much or not enough?
My laugh is really distinct. And I would get called out by peers, like in a celebratory way, but also like, oh, I know Markeith's here. Heard him laugh, ha! So it's like, I don't want people to know I'm here all the time. So having to pull back, and then going home to see family and being reminded, like, that's just how we're actually like, this is not loud to me. This is loud for y'all. And then not enough, like, on some like surface level things about like how I dress. Depending on where I am. Like if I go to a space like Crim Work and I'm wearing like a hoodie, there are like 18-year-old queens who have not seen any of my work. Being like, excuse me, sir, the bathrooms are all genders. And I was like, I know, little queens, the bathrooms are also full. But then I'll perform in that same space and those same queens be like, oh my God, yeah. Cause like I have a soft beat and I'm like in a dress and popping my ass. Like, it's like, you just last week, you were like, I was not enough of whatever you wanted me to be. And now you want to celebrate me. So, like, too much of it or not enough of it at any given time.
And how do you navigate that within yourself?
I don't know. I can leave home feeling so good sometimes. And then by the time I get to my destination, I feel like so beat up because I like let the world do that sometimes. And so like always with my headphones on, always. If I don't have headphones, my head in a book, just so I don't have to see y'all. Right. Yeah.
Switching subjects slightly,
yeah,
but not really. How can Black women be lifted up?
Just do it. Get out the way. They got stuff to do. They've been doing stuff. Get out of the way. If you are a man, if you are a Black man, if you're a woman and not a Black woman, get out of their way. Listen to them. Listen.
So we're gonna go a little deeper with that. advertisement, walking down the street, movies, commercials, things that you see, 9 times out of 10, now it is advertised that black men are with white women. So even in the midst of that, how can black women be lifted up when they're saying that they're not lovable, they're not beautiful, they're not enough to be with?
I mean, this goes all the way back to Spike Lee. What was it called? What was it called? Jungle Fever, right? Like, so it's not new, actually. For those of y'all that don't know,
it goes back farther than that.
I understand that, you know, like, so.
And so we recognize that it goes back further than that, but what I'm seeing right now in advertisement and movies consistently, more so than I've ever seen in my entire life, is that black women are less in the profile. Love interest in movies and TV shows. Everything is about a black woman being single or not with somebody, or she has to be lifted up by a white man. And please don't think I'm knocking interracial relationships. Like, that's not what I'm doing. But we also have to have space for conversations like, how do we lift this up? We can't ignore the fact that black women are consistently being made out to be not enough for society and for the world. And I bring this up because we've also had this conversation of you dating a white woman. And so, like, and why not ask you?
They said, why not ask me? That's complicated. You're not asking about me and Laura, you're asking about black women, so I need to make sure I answer it like that. I can't change. I did not make the rules. I can't change America, you know? And it's even weird. I'm not sure. This is complicated as hell. Like, even with shows that have like a predominantly all black female cast, the bitchiest one tends to be the darkest one.
Or killed off sooner than the rest of them.
Or the 2 darkest ones are the ones who are fighting each other over some catty shit. Like, and so calling that out, like, we've talked a lot about Pose, for instance.
Exactly.
Where the 2 darkest sisters are more or less the villains of the show.
Well, the one now.
Right, right. And it's like this weird thing of trying to have this conversation with someone that's not you. It's like, but it's so good, it's so good. It's like, I get it, I agree, I watch that show weekly too, but like, this is something that we need to change. And it's like, but like, they're hiring these people. It's like, I fucking understand.
But they're also hiring them looking a very particular way.
Right, so.
And not necessarily representing globally what trans women look like.
So how do we change the structures that are doing the hiring for these casting calls? There's a show on HBO called Euphoria that's like this awesome queer teen drama. And I learned that the writing room never specified anyone's race or gender. And I'm wondering if that can happen more. As far as television goes, or theater goes, like live theater goes, like stop writing in those qualifiers.
The Hunger Games, when they cast the black girl as a character and people went ballistic because she wasn't black in the book.
And then even Hermione, I am not Slytherin or Gryffindor or
Harry Potter.
But Hermione's supposed to be black based on the book?
I have no idea.
Right? Based on how they describe her?
Yeah.
Based on how they describe her, right? Supposed to be black, she's not supposed to be white. So I don't know.
Get ready, Little Mermaid, she's about to be black. Get ready.
So I don't know how to answer that question from like, I see problems and all I can do is like talk about them more publicly and openly. But then back to like, can we stop teaching people?
Yes.
What did you say?
Your partner is white.
Yes.
How do you navigate that space being a black man?
That is interesting. Because we're both in the spectrum of several things that you don't get to see, that y'all don't get to see. And sometimes Laura's the man in the situation, and I'm the woman, if you want to think about it like that. But like in public, we've done a lot of growing. We've been together for over 5 years. We're polyamorous, we're queer, we do all these things. We have different partners of different identities. But when we're in public together, we can't even have an argument for fun sometimes without society seeing a black man heated talking to a white woman. We can be walking down the street not arguing. If she's crying, they're asking if she's okay. We could be walking down the street and me being defeated and her maybe yelling, they're still gonna ask if she's okay. So what I've been doing with her is having more conversations around like how this looks and how we can table things. Like, because we're both really passionate people. And we can't do anything about how society looks at us besides like reserve some shit, which is terrible. Like, I don't want to reserve anything. I'm not gonna share that. And then think like, I would say at the beginning of our relationship, she pointed out a lot of like privileges that I had that I was unaware of. And more recently in our relationship, I pointed out a lot of privileges that she was actually unaware of that she was having. Things like Tinder. We were getting dinner yesterday. How many of you have Tinder? Just a hand raise.
Nobody admits.
Word, cool. So Tinder is a dating app.
Yeah, I know.
It's spelled with an I, not an E. And so at the top of Tinder, there's like your settings bar, then there's this little heart right here, and next to that heart there's like a gold emblem, and it says how many people have liked you, or like swiped right on you. And then over here is a little like ... where you can go into your feed and read about who you swiped right on and try to spark up a conversation and maybe like get your judge on. On mine in Seattle also, if I go anywhere else, it's popping. On mine, it's like 9 people. On Laura's, it's 99 plus. On our shared thing, it's 99 plus. We were eating dinner yesterday. We were in Greenwood, y'all, eating enchiladas. And I was like, oh, let's see what's happening in Greenwood, because my radius is like 10 miles, you know, so if I'm like at home, that's like Rainier Beach to the Central District. If I'm in Greenwood, that's like all the way out to Ballard. I'm swiping on our joint thing, 4 swipes, 2 matches, right? I switch over to mine. I'm still swiping for that match in Greenwood. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is something interesting. Like, she's like, I just want to like get to know people. Like, we're both, our walks of life we have very similar trajectories in our thinking about relationships. And I've been like, you have to understand though that like, you were way more accessible than me. And that took a long time, because I know that was hard for her to hear, but I'm also like, if we remove ourselves from the situation, you'd be on the side of the non-white person. I want you to recognize that. So that's like one caveat of our relationship. You're welcome.
Why do black folks not talk about polyamory so much?
I think because of Christianity. I also think because of like safety too. Finding that one in a sea of whiteness on a white ass canvas is going to serve you way better than trying to look for the many in that and failing. And if you're a person of color, if you're a black person who will date a white person, having to sift through terrible whites is not good for your psyche.
We all understand what polyamory is, correct?
I don't.
Why did I know that, Bernie? That's why I asked that question. I was like, Bernie is like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
I'm interested in establishing other relationships. Not one single person has enough to contain the multitudes that is Markeith Wiley. Nor can Markeith Wiley give everything someone else might need. There are billions of people on the planet. I fall in love like once every day. I love you right now. You look really good. Not a joke. You know, so like, why hinder that? Why hinder that? And then there are various, love you, Marlon. There are various forms. There's like kitchen table polyamory where everyone wants things to be good. So it's like, here's me and my partner, and like they met someone new. We're all gonna like not literally sit down at the kitchen table. We're all gonna meet and make sure everything is going well. And if things don't go well, then like you're out, right? That was something that we started at first. That did not work for us because we were trying to appease each other, and that was not fit. That was not working. And then it was like, well, do we need to meet all of our partners immediately? The answer is no. And that's like done a lot of good for us, rather than like, oh, I met this new person. Can you meet him next week? Can you meet her next week? Can you meet them next week? It's like, I don't have time. This is stressing me out. It's like, yeah. So polyamory, yeah. Not open, not monogamy, mono, poly, one, many.
What's the benefit of that?
Of polyamory?
Yes.
Love. It's not a corny, this is like the Hallmark card of polyamory. It's not a lack of love, it's an abundance of it. I'm not saying monogamy is terrible either. To each their own. I don't mind that you're a Christian, it just doesn't work for me.
Awesome. What is queerness for you?
Being full.
Full off of, full how?
The many sides. Like I feel like I was, once again, I learned how to be a man by doing all the opposite things of the men in my family. I learned how to be a man by doing all the positive things that I learned from the women. I learned how to care, I'm a nurturer, right? Like, I don't identify as male, but I know how I can be perceived as that. Say the question again, there's a point.
What is queerness for you?
Oh, like just being full. Like for the first time ever, I just went home last month, and for the first time ever, my mother didn't call me handsome. And that felt really good. I was like, my handsome young boy. Like, that wasn't the language she used. She said, you look so well, you look glowing, you look beautiful. She didn't qualify me into a gender.
Was that through conversations with her, or just her natural understanding of who you are?
Her natural understanding of being my mama. There was no like, no mom, I'm like, this is this, right. You know?
That's awesome. How are you seeing queerness defined now? Especially with older folks, and like the older we get, and I say that as someone in their 40s and like rediscovering what my gayness is, which is actually not gayness, it's something other than that. How do you see that like playing out now with people and people around you?
Very generational. So I watch a lot of television, I read a lot of books. I don't trust you if you don't do either. What was that show with Ellen Page and Garcia, and it took place in San Francisco? It was a remount of a show from the 90s.
We watched
Tale
of the City.
Tale of the City.
Yeah.
There's this awesome scene, awesome meaning terrible, where it's a younger gay black man, like maybe in his like mid-20s, sitting at a table full of like mid-40s, early 50s gay men, and the older men are using words like tranny and all this stuff, and the younger black man is like, you can't do that anymore. And then these gay men go off on this younger black man about like, we went through all this shit so that you could say all these things about you, so that you have the ability to have these freedoms, like get out of my face, right? And it was a really, why that hit me so hard is because like he was also a young black man. It's like, it was a bunch of white men telling this black man, you're wrong.
Older white men.
Yes, like the people in the driver's seats, right? And so it's just like conversations, like, and picking your spots. I do believe old dogs can learn tricks, can do tricks. I'm trying to make a joke now.
They do a lot of tricks.
And just reminding, like, when that generational gap happens, reminding that, like, this isn't new. You did lay these bricks, right? Like, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm also asking for simultaneous respect as your peer.
Switching gears, because I like to leave things in the air and not close them out. I'm gonna ask two different questions. Who are you excited about currently in Seattle art scene? And what are you not excited about? I didn't say who, I said what.
I'm not thinking, I know my answers. It's not like that. I'm excited about you. I'm excited about my team, but not because they're on my team, because of who they are. I'm excited about Mario. I'm excited about Imana. I'm excited about Hannah. I'm excited about Paul. I'm excited about you, Noel. Yeah. I have 4 more fingers.
Yourself. Well, I'm excited about you.
I am excited about myself, yes. No matter how much I downplay myself. I am excited about myself. But I'm excited for things that were being held up to no longer be held up because of all the structural shifts that are happening in the city and arts organizations. There's been like this really interesting changing, like almost an exodus. Like all of the men who are running shit are like being fired, leaving, offered other jobs. I'm not excited for things like the sun still burns bright. Great. That's
no one knows exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. No one knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I commend you for not knowing what I'm talking about. That means that shit doesn't matter. That means that it's time for other things to start happening. I'm excited for the death of ballet. You can still use it. I'm not saying don't do it.
You have been involved with many conversations of white female choreographers talking about, I don't understand why I can't work with a diverse group of blah, 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 blah. And you shared some of your thoughts with me. Do you want to share them publicly with me and them and a camera?
Right, I'm being videotaped. You can tell I've definitely leaned into this whole having a microphone thing now, right? There have been some collaborators of mine who were white, who were women, who are curious as to why people of color aren't interested in working with them, or better yet, why their casts only consist of other white dancers, white presenting dancers even, white passing dancers from afar with the right makeup. You want to be more specific? Like, My short answer was like, because people aren't interested. Like, there are people of color who are not interested in working with you. There are other choreographers and producers and directors who are doing work that's not empty or vapid or about their own insecurities in this rapidly changing world under the Trump administration.
Speaking of that, when he got elected into office, like white anger was like huge, and white artists was like, we need to blah, blah, blah. And what was your take on that? Because I was like, I don't need to do anything. Because I've been doing.
There's this sketch on Saturday Night Live with Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. Just go YouTube that. That's how I felt. Like, in short, like it was these two folks with a bunch of white folks now, like, oh, Hillary, so excited. And as the election carried over, the white folks are like popping Xanax and doing cocaine and pulling each other's hair out, while these two black folks are like, and then at the end of the sketch, they laugh. Like, everyone's like, no, why, my poor America? And then Dave and Chris laugh, and that's how the sketch ends. You should still watch it for yourself, though. But that's how I felt. I was like, there's,
right. I love it. These folks that are creating this work that is empty, I think you said empty.
I said vapid.
Vapid. That, okay. I was trying to be kind. Why do you think they still get the funding that they get?
The support structures were the same until recently, so they're still like living out those dreams that were held up by these other people in power who are no longer in power. That's why.
Do you think this question was asked me last week, do you think their art is valid?
From an anthropological standpoint, yeah.
From a different standpoint.
Yeah.
No, I don't go to a lot of things, so not to me. It might be really important to other folks, but like not to me. I really don't like going to things that are gonna make me feel like I wasted my time.
What is the most exciting thing you are working on that you're excited about for yourself?
Artistically?
Yes.
I'm in process for this new piece called What? It's an acronym for Working Undecided Title. That is, in short, me trying to tackle we trying to tackle the desperateness between audience and performer, like the space between. Also, who truly owns the abstract in response to how our nation has shifted because of this election. Like white people, so me talking about like these empty works, like all the while, like I feel like if you're white right now trying to make something that's politically driven and you're saying that really loud, you're gonna get called out, you need to deal with that. Also, if you're making empty things, but like it's still white bodies on the stage, like that's political and so you're gonna get called out, you need to deal with that. So like white folks aren't safe to make anything right now. You could take a break, unpopular opinion, you could take a break. But also I watched a bunch of people of color, a bunch of artists of color, scream their truths. Scream it really loud because you aren't listening. You're not listening, right? And then things lost abstraction. So can I not yell or something? I guess is what I'm interested in. Yeah, can I make things happen that are politicized anyway? No matter what I do.
And you're working with a group of artists. What is that experience like in this process?
Interesting. I've been very hesitant to like lock down like a hard schedule of rehearsal time. Because I know what the function of the work is and I know what we're doing. but they might not know exactly what we're doing at any given time. And it's the first time I'm not working solo in over like 5 years. So it's interesting.
And how are they receiving your process?
I love it.
Everything you point out, I like see it in different performances and different people. I'm like, oh. And it always brings me, I'm excited. I'm just excited to not do what everyone expects me to do.
And why this particular group of people did you decide to work with?
They all showed me themselves. They all showed me their whole selves. Just like, I've been watching Imana for a minute, and I appreciate like her writing and her words, and like watching her grow from like UW to current and seeing different works, and then also like seeing you in the world. Like, it's like, oh, that's a whole ass person. Like, they're there to do the job that is to be themselves. I just met Mario not too long ago, and it felt right. Like, it feels right. Who's not here? Randy Ford's also a part of the group, who y'all might know. You might know Randy.
Yeah.
Laura Ashoff, who had to go because they're having back problems. That's my partner. Then there's me, and Hatlo is my co-director. Yeah.
Awesome. I know that there's questions that folks have in the audience. We're gonna take a 1-song break, 2-song break. Talk amongst yourselves about your questions. Vet your questions with the people around you. Make sure your questions are valid to ask. So talk to your people, peer review your questions before you ask them. Then we're going to come back and ask Markeith some questions from the audience. But I suggest you peer review your question. And then we're going to go back to Markeith with some peer reviewed questions. Take it away, Mix America. Does your question actually need to be answered in front of a group of people? I'm going to go back to make sure your question is actually a question. No need to give your dissertation. No need to audition for Markeith by giving a monologue. Just get to the point of your question. Do not ask any violent questions. Black bodies, as you can see, get asked violent questions all the time, and we think it's just like okay to ask that question because we're just curious. Please do not ask any violent questions. And you'll know it's a violent question if you have hesitation about asking the question. Then it's automatically a violent question. Is your question about confrontation, or are you actually trying to learn something new? If it's just about being confrontational because you were offended about something, save it. Because it's not about your feelings at this point in time. Once again, black bodies are on stage revealing themselves, so please keep that in consideration. And this is not about me being mean or nasty, it's really about protecting the people on this stage. Oftentimes we do these audience open conversations and audience members ask the most ridiculous things ever. And then everyone in the audience gets offended and ready to fight and all this stuff. So now we're gonna put a little taper to that. Making sure that you're very clear about your questions. What else is on this list? Yeah, Markeith has just done a lot of work. Please do not have your questions make him do any unnecessary work that he's already done. And also, if you are feeling some type of way, email Markeith if you have his email. MarkeithW28@gmail.com. It is not his responsibility to answer it, but you can get your feelings out. So he may or may not respond. But this is just, once again, if you have something that you really want to say, if you want to email me about something that you didn't like about me, I don't give a damn. I get those emails, yeah. So you're not getting my email address because I just don't care. I get those emails a lot. So once again, it's about taking care of I get them a lot. I've learned not to answer them. It's about taking care of the black bodies on stage. So, audience, you have your work to do. Oh, the first and the last question must come from a black person. You ready? Mm-hmm. Ooh, black people, thank you. Okay, Noel, David, Paul, in that order, go, thank you.
Hey, Markeith.
Married to a good one. Hold on. I'm married to a good one. Yes, so I ain't gonna talk.
Hello, Markeith. How are you?
I'm well, Noel. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well myself.
I'm well, Noel.
I am. Are you looking for more community to uphold you? And if so, how do we get past the I'm sitting in the corner, my headphones are on, I'm drinking exterior?
I provide space, and I just want people to show up. That's why I like to DJ. Because you can show up and you don't need to say anything to me. You just smile, touch my hand. I get to ride that for a minute. I'm not necessarily looking. I've been loving spending time by myself outside of events. So just showing up at things. So I'm come to these things. It's promotional, yes, but also I just want to see faces. There are a friend who's still here, maybe she took off, was we know you're right there. We make these spaces for people, and then the people don't show up because they feel like they're being infiltrated by other people. So just coming through.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
David.
Hi, are there any books or literature that you've been reading lately that you think is interesting?
Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Black Cool, 1,000 Strains of Blackness, The Racial Imaginary, which was facilitated, curated by Claudia Ranking, and then So Sad Today, and I can't remember her name, but it's an author. It's a bunch of short essays.
I can just yell. I'm loud. I'm seriously loud. So it's recording. Okay.
At the very beginning, you started talking about how in the support structures for getting your work done, you feel like you're back in school because there are deadlines. And it seemed to be that you were implying that maybe there's a different way to do it. I've never even considered that thought. And I was wondering, can you explore what it is that would be better? Or what would be different? What you think that would mean?
I haven't had time to dream about that, because of the place I'm in right now, not situation, the place. Working with On the Boards right now, and the artistic director was here, and she's gone now, and she knew I was talking about her in that example. This work was supposed to happen last season, and I said, no, I don't know you. And then I was like, can we do May? And she's like, well, we have this, this, and this, and this. How's April? I was like, well, I'm waiting to hear back from this other organization that wants me to do something right afterwards or whatever. So I feel like, I don't know, especially when it's local artists and then national, international artists coming through who this is the time that I have and then being prioritized in this way. I think scheduling in general should just change. And it's here, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. I'll call you. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Noel.
Hi.
Thank you both for such a great conversation. I think one question, you asked a question and then you responded, and it made me think about a time that I was a part of a group show, and my piece was the only piece that was about joy and imagining more for us as disabled Black and brown folks. And so I guess my question is what is in the way? What do you think is in the way of really doing work? And I don't want to erase the trauma, we can never do that. But how do we also make work that is about reimagining a world that we either live in currently in the ways that we do, or the world that we want to live in, or ask the questions, because I feel like I'm not afraid to go to a show that, you know, opens me up and makes my insides out and makes me question what was inside. Like, Black Boys was an incredible show that I saw 2 days in a row that I still live with. But also there was so much joy. There was so much joy and celebration and interconnectedness, and so I wonder, how do we do that, particularly for like emerging or any artist, to like, what needs to get out of our way, or what do we need to do to sort of really focus on not just my trauma and the generations of that, but also how do we use that to also reimagine and not be afraid to dream and make different kinds of work.
Lowering expectation for Black and brown bodies that are presenting work. Like, I gotta go hard, you know, I gotta go hard, it doesn't matter. But then I don't just talk about race all the fucking time, but like, it's really important within my profession. Like, when like white directors, choreographers are allowed to do what they want, to make things about nothing, about architecture, and then like to go to someone who has the same credentials, the same thing, the Black version of that, if they don't go hard or politicize their work in a way, like, it's less valuable. So like, society needs to lower the expectation. There's room for the idealist and for the realist, I would say.
Any other questions? We can wrap it up. Thank you for that last statement. Yeah. After last night's show, I just got really angry. And we talked about it a little bit today, and then we can dig deeper later, but it's this idea of seeing bodies on stage that don't represent all of society. And knowing that I don't want to take away from their work, and everyone has to work hard, but the fact that Black bodies, queer bodies, bodies that are abled in many different ways, we have to put an extra something on the thing that we do in order to get less than half of what they got. And it just angers me, and it's not to knock anybody because you do your thing, but it just reminds me of how much we have to work hard when all we want to do is sleep. Where we just want to show up and just walk on stage and walk off stage. But we got to walk on stage, turn, cuss you out, cuss ourselves out, get naked, put on clothes, cry, and then it's like, there's your $2. And so just thank you for that. I know you work extremely hard in the things that you do, and you're extremely thoughtful in what you do. You are one person for me that you just don't put out stuff without thinking about it. And I appreciate that. And that has like also allowed me to like understand some things differently about you as a human being and myself. And so I really do appreciate that. If you are not familiar with Markeith's work, you need to become familiar with this person's work. Our relationship did not start off good at all. And it's Black folks' tension. You know, you come to the city, you're the only one, you're this. And once again, through this person's thoughtfulness, and they don't speak without actually having something to say. I learned to appreciate this person and then love this person, and really look up to this is an amazing person. And I just want everybody to understand just how amazing you are, how beautiful you are, how passionate you are, and how you deserve so much more than other folks deserve. And I mean that, and I say that to say that if you're gonna throw money behind somebody, throw money behind this person here. Because it's only going to help what they do. You are so much love. And I am honored to sit here and to be able to talk to you. I talk to you constantly. We talk in the house. There are times we're all at home at the same time. This is funny. This is the most we've been in the same space. And we live in the same house together. But I love these moments with you because I learned so much about who you are and myself and how you view the world. And I wish more people would talk to you about how you view the world because it's very fascinating and interesting to me. What do you have coming up next that people can come and support? And also, you break the mold of what we think blackness is. Your blackness is vast. Your blackness